But with that comes challenges to small communities like Monticello and, of course, us here in Clinton. Let's just kind of talk about that increased foot traffic. And, you're probably seeing a lot more folks out on walks, enjoying the nice weather. How about just the nice weather in Monticello and the impact it's had?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think we're going to get a real quick hit of reality come tomorrow, but we'll take the nice weather while we have it. But yeah, our foot traffic increases if there's a sunny day that's 40 degrees. Nick's Park, that's right across from my office here, it was full yesterday.
Sure.
Just kids running around. But with that comes an increase. Like you said, a lot in foot traffic, which means that nicer days, more people are out. People need to be kind of wary of their surroundings. They need to make sure everything's locked up. They need to make sure that they aren't leaving valuables out. It's real easy, like at our park, you park 30 feet away and, maybe you just leave the doors unlocked. Well, that's real easy for somebody to see a person there and they snag your purse, walk off, and you're none the wiser because you're, watching the kiddos on the swing or something like that.
Sure. And Chief, we talk about this, this probably gets mentioned a lot, especially for, as guys like you and I get older, our parents, they say, oh gosh, it's just disappointing. Back in our day, we could leave doors unlocked. We could leave the front door open, windows open, and folks just left you alone. And now it's just a different time. But, that's the reality. I mean, this is a different time. We have to take better care of our things and just kind of, like you said, kind of be aware of your surroundings, have your head on a swivel. So how about, Chief, just the things that folks can do to prevent themselves from becoming a victim? There's a lot of real simple things. How about some of those?
Oh, the easiest thing you could ever do is just lock your vehicle. I've been doing this for almost 20 years now, and for longer than that, it's always been keep valuables out of sight, lock your doors. Don't leave your car keys in your vehicle. Just last week, we had probably 25 to 30 burglaries to motor vehicles, to where we had a couple just literally walking from vehicle to vehicle and, checking the door if it's unlocked. They went in there, rummaged. Gone are the days of them taking pretty much everything. They're very selective on what they get. No one picks, everyone gets surprised. Well, I had loose change in the cup holder. Loose change is heavy, it makes noise, and it's not worth the time to take it. Your, AirPods or your earphones, some sort of media player, cell phones, purses they'll rummage through, take the dollars, leave everything else. If you have a small wallet, that's what they're taking.
Right.
But really, it's just locking your doors. And you hit the nail on the head. Years ago, my parents and grandparents, it's small. I grew up in Rantoul. When the base was there, okay, but all these burglaries were happening in small towns. When I was in Atwood, we were a town of 1,200 people. And it happened there. It happens in Champaign-Urbana. It happens in Decatur. It happens in Clinton. Happens in Monticello. The way you prevent that is by locking your doors, and you don't become an invitation to everyone in East Central Illinois saying, "Hey, it's a really nice hit or a really nice mark to go to this town because they all leave their doors unlocked." So you just try to make it harder for them.
Yep, no doubt. And one of the things I hear often in folks in your position there, Chief, is then those folks have that, they become a victim, and again, that's one of those things could be prevented. Knowledge is power, as they say, that sort of thing. But then they take to social media and they call it their car was broken into and those sorts of things, and just kind of sends the wrong message as to what really happened in a certain situation.
Right, and we just had this last incident. We had people report it on Facebook, but they waited hours to report it to the police. So if we get called, we can try to process the vehicle, try to get DNA.
Right.
Let's face it, most of these people are wearing gloves, but DNA, if you're talking, if you're coughing, you're leaving DNA somewhere.
Sure.
But if you wait for 8 hours to let us know, and we don't police Facebook, we just don't.
Right.
So when people say, "Well, we left on social media," that's not our job. We don't go to social media to find out where the crimes are. Those get reported to us so we can process the scene, take pictures, take evidence and submit it to the crime lab.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times, what we found out last week is people would put things on social media that were nowhere near the truth. And then, of course, that gives people the false, story on what happened. Then we get phone calls. We had people call in with suspects that haven't been in the area for years,
Mm-hmm.
but they had a vendetta against them, and it hit on social media,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of grew legs from there. So that social media is great for what it was intended for, which was to keep families and friends close. It was a lot easier to share your vacation photos with that way instead of sending a whole bunch of emails. But then that's a double-edged sword with the bad parts of social media too.
Yeah, it certainly developed into that where bad information can spread rapidly. And it's interesting, that stigma you brought up there, Chief. I hadn't heard that before, where people will say, well, I put it on social media, and assuming that is enough, that is that you're going to respond, your department maybe will see that, or they tag you in it, in a post or something. That's interesting. I haven't heard that one before. That's an interesting phenomenon.
Oh, yeah, and that's why on the Monticello Police Department's Facebook page, we do not allow comments. We were able to not have to do that because of an Attorney General's office ruling, because a sheriff's office in the area, they had a couple lost kids, and it, as with social media, it reared its ugly head, and you had these kids that ran away from home, and then you had people going after the foster parents, after the biological parents, putting photos on Facebook, and it just devolved very, very quickly. So
interesting.
That's kind of the downfalls of kind of social media and how it kind of affects the policing and us trying to investigate crimes.
Perhaps that is a topic for later in the program. The impact of social media on things like this. But I want to ask, Chief. I've mentioned to you before we got started, I have our chief Ben Lowers on the program here in Clinton every month, and one thing he's talked about in the past is, even if you have your car rummaged through, burglarized, whatever the term you want to use is, and you don't think that something was taken, or something was taken, but it's like, well, it's a lost cause, the police aren't going to be able to find it, this and that. He has mentioned still report it, because that gives law enforcement just a little bit of a leg up in terms of where to maybe patrol, where to be on the lookout for. Do you mind speaking to that at all, and how your department uses that data, even if it's again things that you can't recover that were taken? How about that?
Sure. Let's say they rummage through a vehicle. We still go out there. We like to go out and at least walk the area, because you never know. We had someone that had either an Arlo or a Ring camera, and it showed, this person kind of running away from the house. Well, if we don't go out, we have no idea. Maybe they dropped something. Maybe it was someone else's stolen property. It's always good to have that information. And a lot of people write it off. Well, they didn't take anything, or it was only a couple dollars. Lesson learned, whatever. Please let us know, because, God forbid, we don't want this to become a habitual thing, but it does help us track kind of where things are. So if, everything happened in a 5-block area, and then something happened, across town, that's information we need to know.
Mm-hmm. Again, our guest is Monticello Police Chief Rob Bross here with us for today. Chief, you brought up a really good point there. Ring cameras, and those have become such a huge tool for those that are willing to let law enforcement have access to those. Such a huge tool for law enforcement in solving crime. How about just the advent of those and now becoming more commonly possessed in homes? How about the advent of those and just what that's meant for investigating in your departments?
Oh, they are great. We actually have a program where people can register their cameras if they would like to. We don't have, that doesn't give us carte blanche, whenever we want to, we can log into your system. Mm-hmm. That does give us an option of going, someone has a camera at 202, Hamilton Street. We can knock on your door and say, hey, we had something happen at about 4 in the morning. Could you check about 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after? see if you get a suspect vehicle, something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, these cameras, I never thought I would have one. If you asked me 10 years ago, I probably wouldn't have had one.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife and I, we got the Ring camera, and they are nice. If anything, maybe not so much as the burglaries, but to know, the Amazon driver did drop off a package, or they dropped it off at a different address.
Mm-hmm.
It's just peace of mind more than anything, and it does help us quite a bit on some of these burglaries.
Absolutely. Yep, no question. And I think that was an important distinction you made, doesn't give you unfiltered access to those cameras. It's just a database of where they're at, and in the event that you might need to talk to that individual that has that, gives you an idea of where to turn to. I think that was an important distinction to make, Chief.
Right. Yep, definitely, because at least that way, it's hard enough to try to get information, but sometimes people, that if they don't have a Ring camera, if they just have the Arlo system or Nest or anything else, maybe they don't have them right by their front door, but they have a ton of them on the side of their house or on the garage. That's always good to know.
Sure. Very good, Chief. Well, great stuff there. Anything I missed, just kind of in that increased foot traffic, the nice weather, anything in there that we didn't touch on you want to make sure we get to this morning?
Oh, just really, locking everything up, keep it, if it's out of sight, out of mind, if you have a purse, keep it in the trunk, underneath the seat, something, then that way people are less apt to, try to, take what's not theirs. So.
Very good, Chief. You mentioned your department's on social media. How do folks follow along with you all?
We are under Monticello IL Police Department on Facebook.
All right, check it out. That is Monticello Police Chief Rob Bruss with us on the morning show today. More to come with the Chief on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Do you know what to do when a car is pulled over on the side of the road?
Get over.
First, reduce your speed. Second, change lanes if possible. Third, proceed with caution. These 3 simple steps can be the difference between life and death.
What if it's you that's on the side of the road? Do you want everybody to move over for you?
Do the right thing. Slow down, move over, and drive like your life and their life depends on it.
Return to an active lifestyle and higher quality of living with Gibson Area Hospital Orthopedics. Your orthopedic health is important, and Dr. Brett Keller specializes in joint replacement, robotic total joint replacements, general orthopedic care, and fracture care. Warner Hospital provides award-winning orthopedic health to DeWitt County with Gibson Area Hospital Orthopedics. Now scheduling patients at the Warner Specialty Clinic in Clinton. Call 217-784-4340.
In addition to great radio marketing, the Miller Media Group now offers a full suite of digital marketing solutions. Our affordable programs include custom web design and SEO to help you get found on Google. Seeking more inbound web and store traffic? Our Facebook, YouTube, and geo-targeted marketing programs are all designed to make your cash register ring. To get started, call your Miller Media account manager or go to mmgdigitalnow.com. Miller Media Digital, where digital becomes local.
For the latest in Central Illinois agricultural news, visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Get updated information on markets, weather, ag news, local interviews with NAFB farm broadcaster Jared White, and much, much more. All at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
Connexus will provide local, reliable, affordable, and speed-of-light fiber internet to Clinton. Get on the install list now by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Fiber internet is coming to Clinton. Get on the install list now.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Monticello Police Chief Rob Bruss with us on the morning show with us today. And Chief, as we talk here this morning, I had an interesting conversation. I go back to a lot of conversations I had with our chief, Ben Lowers here in Clinton, but he mentioned something to me last month I thought was really interesting. An increase in scams that stem from places like Facebook Marketplace and others. I'm curious, are you seeing much of that in your community in Monticello?
More than what we did, say, about a year ago.
Uh-huh.
and that's just the way things are now. If there's an online presence for something, there's an ability for a scam to be there, and that's unfortunate, but that's just the way life is. We try to tell people verify, verify, verify.
Sure.
Most people, if you can somehow get a phone number, talk to somebody, you're less apt to be scammed that way if you put in a little extra effort and make sure you verify the buyer, seller, whatever the case may be.
Sure. Now, when it comes to just kind of the scams in general, Chief, like, does your department do anything proactive? Like, do you have a hotline? Do you have an officer that has an expertise in these things? Like, how do you all handle those things locally? What's your response like?
So if they come to us, we take the initial report. Keep in mind, anybody can create a Facebook profile anywhere, or marketplace, whatever the case may be.
Right.
If we have enough to where we think we can actually get some good information through either an IP address, credit card, something like that, we can actually get a search warrant through the state's attorney's office, through the courts, and send it to Facebook saying, hey, we need information on, this transaction at this date at this time involving this profile and account number. They send us that, and then we can go through and try to go through credit card statements or IP, if it's a Verizon IP address, we can send information to Verizon and says, okay, we have this, account number, whose is it? Rarely do you get them locals. It's usually several states away, but we can call there and say, hey, we're thinking that this address is a problem. You probably need to take a look at it. We had a case once when I was down in Atwood. We actually found out the scam address was, I believe, an address in Kansas City, Missouri. So it looked just like an abandoned house where people would send money and it would just be dropped off there on the front porch. Somebody would probably drive by, pick it up, and you would never know the difference.
Wow.
So
how about that?
We were able to kind of forward that off and just try to dot our I's and cross our T's and try to get people, some of their money or property back.
So just real fast, Chief, to wrap us up on this topic, tips you have for your community members when they're doing things like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, the opportunities there are on and on, but your tips for them when dealing with individuals in those spaces.
Just verify. You have to verify who you're talking to and the condition of whatever you're about to buy. And if there is going to be a transaction, do it in a populated place. Don't go to someone's house that you don't know, anything like that. If you can go to, the police department, we have cameras all over the place. If that's not doable, you can go to a gas station that's populated, somewhere where there's going to be a lot of people, witnesses, whatever, in case things go south. You're covered.
Yep, sure. Very good, Chief. Well, let's wrap it up here for this morning. You mentioned to me off the air that you're going to be doing some patrolling details, some traffic detail here. Talk a little bit about that. What are your efforts going to look like?
Yeah, so really we look at the Fatal Four, which is pretty much DUI, speeding, cell phone usage, distracted driving. Speeding, DUI, and seatbelts.
Yeah.
So those are the Fatal Four that whenever you get a traffic safety grant, and what we've seen in all the studies of fatal accidents, those rise to the top each time as one of the problems with our fatal accidents. So we try to hit that pretty hard. And again, this isn't a money-generating endeavor. We just want people to be safe because obviously since COVID reared its ugly head, traffic fatalities have only gone up. I think we're still over 1,000 for the year of 2023. And these, I would say 99.9% of those are all avoidable. If people just slow down, drove defensively, got off their phone and just relaxed while they were driving, our fatalities, I bet you we could get to under 100 if we were just, stayed off the phone, stopped drunk driving, wore a seatbelt, and stopped speeding.
Yeah,
so that's what we focus mostly on.
Yeah, the distracted driving piece for sure. I venture a guess with the legalization of marijuana in Illinois, there's probably a little bit of that you're encountering nowadays as well.
Oh, yeah. there are field sobriety tests that we can, check and see if cannabis usage is one of the indicators for DUI. But it's one of those things we tell people, just like anything else, you have to be smart. If you're going to go out and enjoy adult beverage, you need to be smart about it. Have a designated driver. It's no different than if you decide to use cannabis, the edibles or whatever.
Right.
You need to make smart decisions. I'm not condoning their use, right, wrong, or indifferent. But if you're going to do that, you need to be smart. You need to have a designated driver, just like you would if you were having an office party at a bar.
Chief, great stuff from you. I appreciate you making time for us. There's a lot more we could dive into. In the meantime, though, where do folks go to follow along with your department and all the things you're doing?
We are at the Monticello IL Police Department on Facebook.
Very good. Chief, appreciate your time as always. That is Monticello Police Chief Rob Bross with us on the phone today. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Network news on the way.